Welcome back, welcome back. My favorite director's here in the studio, Michael Mahoney. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You want to introduce
He's
who's with
sucking
you?
up. He wants a part in a play.
Not really.
Yes,
Not really?
Yes, we have a part for you.
And Claudia Peters is with him.
Yes.
Welcome.
Hi.
Are you in this play?
No.
You're not in the play?
The assistant director.
Okay. Ooh.
She is really the director, though. She's just taken over.
No, I just make all the phone calls and do all the hard work, and he comes to rehearsals
There you go.
and
Sit in
tells
the
everybody,
back
and-
tells everybody what to do.
And you say, action.
I say that, and
Yeah.
then she takes over.
And then
And
I
you say,
take over.
okay. Tell
She's
us.
always the one that has this big page full of notes.
Mike's like,
Well, you
Mike
have
says
to
you guys
pay
are
your
doing
dues,
good.
right?
And then I say, yes, but...
Yeah, but here she comes slapping down the hall with her.
Here's 3 pages of notes, things you can fix.
Do you have any conflicts between what your vision is and what her vision
Not
is?
really. We're pretty good collaborators on that. We really complement each other with that. So.
Yeah. Now, when you take a play like The Dinner Party, and do you have creative freedom to do whatever you want to, or do you have to go by the notes of the person that wrote it on how things are to be directed?
Interesting that you asked that, because there's a lot of stage directions that the playwright will put in there, but many times depending on the stage you're working on, and you have to adjust. So sometimes you're flexible with that. Now with the dialogue, we always tell the actors, don't just improv, because you're counting on one another to give cues. So if you switch those lines around, it's going to throw cues and pacing and rhythm off. So, but you do have a little bit of freedom there with how you stage it, with your moving and your blocking on stage. So,
Why don't you tell us what this play's about?
The Dinner Party. This is it's another Neil Simon play. It's a farce, but it's a little different than many of his plays, because the first half of it it's very farcical. Most of the elements in it are very farcical, and then it takes a little spin, a little twist at the end, where it gets a little more serious and realistic look at relationships. But basically the premise is you have 3 divorced couples that are brought together in a private dining room in a Paris restaurant. And unbeknownst to all of them, their ex-spouse is part of this dining situation. So they all end up in a room together, and they get locked in together. And one of the spouse has set this all up. And so when they get locked in, they all have to reflect on the good things that they did for their spouse and the bad things that they did for their spouse while they were married. And so it's a very funny situation.
So it's 3 couples, six parts in the play?
6 parts.
Okay. Now, what are you learning by doing this directing?
What
Is this
am I
one of
learning?
is this one of your first attempts at directing?
Not really. I've done a children's workshop a couple, 2 years ago, I think, with Brian Miller, and my assistant directed on that. But it's a different experience. Mike gives me a lot of freedom to be bossy.
Well,
So-
how did the collaboration take place? How did it start?
Well, actually, Claudia had auditioned for the play, and she's been in a variety of the North Ark productions, but I told her, I said, I want to use you as the assistant director in this and give you another experience out on the other side of the acting. And we went from there, and I told her, I said, there were many times that I wasn't at rehearsals, and I said, you're in charge, take over, your vision. You know where we're going with this, and I trusted her abilities with that, and that gave her that freedom and that confidence with it, and she's really come a long ways. I don't look at her as an assistant director. I really think as a collaborator.
As much as a coffee getter.
As much as a coffee getter and a note taker.
She holds the pencil. I say, take this down. This is my next note. No, she takes her own notes. She really has a good communication level with the actors on stage, and I think they trust her and in her vision and ideas of that character development's really one of her fortes. I think
it's really interesting to watch everybody grow as the character, which you don't get to see when you're on stage as much as you do when you watch it every single night for however many months we've been doing it, and just to see how the characters develop, even just from one night to the next. It's amazing the difference just one little thing can do.
So when opening night, what kind of audience are you looking for?
Full house.
I guess what I'm trying to get to is there any language or anything that should be
That's PG.
Some kind of
I would think.
guidance
there.
Okay.
There is a little bit of
And there's not a
language in
lot
there,
of the language that's PG.
but- Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Yeah, the language is pretty tame. So
Okay.
And the content of the play itself, it's relationships. That's what I really like about it. I think Neil Simon, just what I get out of reading the play, the more that we've worked on it, I think his message in there now, I may be wrong on this, but in the end it's really compassion. I think with these relationships, you see these people that maybe their marriages didn't work out, but you also see the hope of several of these couples with the hope of maybe getting back together. And I think that you see the compassion side that people have for one another, and that's an important message in there. So hopefully people that come and see it will realize just all those elements that go into making a relationship work. And some of the situations are very humorous. People's strange quirks and
Now, this is a North Arkansas production,
yes.
but it's going to be at the Lyric, right? Okay.
Why don't you run down the cast of characters, one of you, and then also I want you to then hit on the dates that.
just talk about what the characters are like, or who's.
Well, first of all, who is what and what, so that
Okay.
people will know.
Well, there are 3 couples. I probably should go from most innocent to most the opposite end of that. And the first set of couples, Albert and Yvonne, played by Daniel C. and Annalise Witzel, and they're the most innocent of the group, the youngest, and neither one of them really has a clue. They don't, but they're really mean to each other. And they're also very immature in the way that they deal with their problems. Daniel C's character won't talk to Yvonne, and he's been following her all around the city, not talking to her. He'll show up, and he won't speak to her. And the next set of characters is played by Anne Limley and Preston Garrison, and they're Claude and Mariette. And Claude is he owns a shop full of books, but he can't, and he's a writer, but he can't quite measure up to the great writers. And she has taken his work and made it into mediocre fiction. And he can't handle her success and how horrible her writing is. And so, and Preston Garrison, if you know him, you ever seen him on stage, he is a character. He is, but he's really come a long way in this role. It's one of the best things I've seen him do. He's gotten a good handle on this character. So, and you, of course, you guys play really well together.
Well,
Yeah.
But but it's interesting though. It's interesting. And then the third set of the third couple is played by, and now I've totally blanked his name. He's gonna hate me. Gary and O'Neill. Gary and O'Neill and Dana O'Quinn and Andre and. What's her name?
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, thank you. Andre and Gabrielle. And they're not vulgar, but they're not very good people. They're bad to each other, and he's left her for a much more innocent version of herself. So she's the one who's orchestrated this whole dinner party, and she's very conniving and
Provocative.
provocative. So Dana O'Quinn does great. She's wonderful.
So that gives you a little hint on what the characters are like.
Yeah.
So.
And this is coming up real soon.
Yes. A week from
Dates?
tomorrow, it's April the 28th, 29th, 30th, and May the 1st. The first 3 evenings are 7 p.m. performances, and then a 2 o'clock matinee on Sunday, May the 1st.
And the admission price is $10, and students with an ID can get in for $5.
Yes.
So bring your student ID if you're a student, and we hope lots of students will show up.
Yes.
There you go.
All right.
I give extra credit just to get them there, too.
Right.
Good. Good to see y'all. Thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Again, thank you so
And,
much.
have a good production. Hope it is a full house.
You'll be there.
I'll see you
one
there.
night.
I will be there.
Yes, you will.
Yeah,
be.
you
Throwing
will.
tomatoes.
In the can or out of the can?
Both?
Ask Ann. She's going to be on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. We won't have to get hit.
If you throw me with
When you come
if you
on,
throw
I'll-
a tomato at me, I'm gonna chunk one back. So I
There you
just
go.
want you to know that.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, we're going to backtrack and talk with Elaine Fulton Jones of the 2nd annual Operation
Drop Off.
Peel Drop Off. Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. Stay with us.
Yeah, hell, we're going